Welcome back to Power's Fun Woodworking channel. Today we're going to be making an epoxy river cutting board. We're going to be using a two-tone walnut. If you'd like to see how this is done from start to finish, stick around. Please like and subscribe.
First thing we got to do is, I've already marked the board. This one for this customer is going to be finished product to be 12 inches wide and 18 inches long. So I've marked it a little bigger, a little longer. So you got to cut it out first. Next step, after getting one edge flat, I'm going to use that to reference up against my fence on my table saw and go ahead and rip it. This thing has a knot hole right here, so I'm going to end up taking that out. Take it over here and set it up on the side of our assembly table and use my pull knife. Cut this edge a little bit, make it look more like a river. So I got this pull knife from Rockford. It's pretty decent. It's super sharp. That's what I use to make like a valley for the river to go through so we can pour the epoxy. What I do is this wood has a few holes in it. I'm gonna try to get rid of them with this pull knife. Clamp real quick. Needs more sturdy. Keep it flying out. So this board's bowed a little bit on the bottom. I could go ahead and put it in the form that I made for it, but if I do that, see the bug? If I do that, I can clamp it down completely flat where the epoxy can't get up and under it when we pour it. But what I'm afraid of is if I go ahead and release it after the epoxy has cured for a few days, that it'll go ahead and bow the epoxy up. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that now so the wood don't move.
Got the mold ready for our epoxy pour. Put this together. I'm later going to post a video on how to make a mold. But this is it for now. We'll be getting ready for the epoxy pour, and that'll be the next step. Okay, so I took these over to the chop saw and got them cut down to size so that they'll be ready to fit into the mold. Next thing I'm going to do before the epoxy pour is get my mold caulked. seals everything up. I always put my caulk in and then I smooth it out with my finger. I don't like to do that as much when I have my nails done, but since I don't, I'm good with it. Caulked and ready to go start mixing some epoxy. Okay, so it's time for the epoxy pour, and we use the Total Boat, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So I've got the hardener and the resin here. Got the colors that we're going to use right here. And so I'm going to mix up about 24 ounces because that's what it takes usually to do a river cutting board. So that's going to be 6 ounces of the hardener. All right, my ounces.
I'm playing Minecraft in real life.
That's a good boy. All right, and then let's bring this up to the 24 mark. Which will be 18 ounces in total of the resin. All right. Just a hair more. Perfect. Okay, time for some color. I'll get this mixed up real good before we add the color.
Yuck. They're not my rainbow.
You silly little boy. Do you see what I'm doing? Mixing up some epoxy for the new river board that we're making. I usually mix this up for about 5 minutes, so. Okay, so I've got everything mixed up. I had to put some gloves on because I got my nails done today and I really don't want to mess them up. I'm going to pour some in another cup here because, like I showed you, I'm going to use 2 different colors, which you'll see exactly what I'm doing here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to pour this over. That's about enough. And then I'm going to add some blue. Is that good? This one too. Some in there. Mix it up. Mix, mix, mix. Okay. So, some of my white here. Pour that into the other. Alright, this is pearly white. Actually, silver pearl is the correct name, but I call it pearly white. It's really pretty. I've been dying to make something with it. Okay, so still looking a little clear. I think I'm gonna add a little bit more color. I really want it to be vibrant. Because when I add that silver pearl in there, it's really gonna do something. So I want it to stand out. Get this mixed up real good. Mixing is key. Okay, so it's looking like everything's mixed up, and I really like the way this color is. I can definitely tell that it's more vibrant. So I think it's time to pour. It's pour time. Clamps kind of getting away a little bit, but I work around them. It's a really pretty river. I'm loving how this color's turning out. Oh, this is gonna be pretty. Let's wait till I add the next step. Okay, so off camera, I realized that there's not quite enough because I want my river to come up to this edge right here. So I mixed up a little bit more of the epoxy, and I'm gonna pour that in now. Let's see if we can get this river up to where I need it to be. And we are getting there. Pouring it slow because I want to make sure I don't overfill. I think we're going to come in just right after I add the additional color. Okay. Make sure I get it all in here. Okay. Now for my silver pearl, go ahead and mix it up some more, just to make sure it's good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do with this, I'm kind of gonna swirl it back and forth right now. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to swirl real easy back and forth. It's just going to give it a little character. It's not going to do anything significant here, but it's really going to blend these colors real nice. Do you like it?
Yes, I love it.
All right, so let's see how that turns out once it sets up. So it's going to have to set up for 72 hours. And we will return.
All right, guys, here we are back again. So, off camera, I cut a 45-degree chamfer on the board and went ahead and did the juice groove. I haven't sanded it yet, but I also planed it too to get it down to the size that I'm looking for, plus where there's no epoxy that's seeped into the board, because sometimes that happens even though I seal the edges up before we pour the epoxy. Sometimes it seeps over into the board a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding. I know that y'all don't like seeing all that sanding, and everybody knows how to sand. I'm gonna start at 100 grit, 150, 220, And I'll go ahead and we got our new company logo, branding iron in. It says Powers Fine Woodworking. And then I'll brand it and raise the grain. Then I'll hit it with 220 again. So we'll be back when that's done. See y'all in a minute. All right, so I had a little issue that I seen when I was sanding. So I'll show it to you. This wood's a little punky right here. Y'all can see that. See it right there? And it's got little indentions in it. So I'm gonna use a little Star Bond. This is super fast thin. And I'm gonna use that with some Star Bond accelerator. And I tell you what, this stuff's a lifesaver. So anyway, I'm gonna put some of that on it and plug the holes up real good. Finish sanding, we'll be right back. Oh, and by the way, this is why you use gloves when you use CA glue. Because if you don't, you get a little bit on you, you don't know what's on there, and then you touch something, and that something becomes part of you for a week. So now I get to go a whole week before I can wear this off. We'll be back. All right, everybody. I'm going ahead and sanded it. I went ahead and brought it all the way up to 320. I brought the epoxy up to 2000. So I polished it. I got some Axe polishing paste that I use on my, you can probably see in the background there where my lathe is. I use it for my bowls, but it works really, really great on epoxy. It makes it shine like crazy, and it's all natural stuff. It's beeswax and mineral oil and some carnauba wax, I think. All right, so anyway, this is my favorite part. So I'm gonna get the mineral oil, put it on there and let y'all watch. All right, let me set y'all up so y'all can see. Move you a little closer. All right, I should be able to see that. All right, here she comes, man. This is my favorite part, I tell you. Man, it just brings that wood and that epoxy to life, I tell you. And I'll end up putting probably about 4 or 5 coats of this on here till it soaks in real good and it stands up on the top. Once it stands up on the top, it's good and sealed up. It's good and soaked through. So if you can see it, looks really, really shiny. All right. So I'm gonna do the back side, and then we'll be back. We'll let you see the finished product. All right, it's done. Check it out. I'll let y'all see it real quick. Check that thing out. Man, that thing is so pretty. Loving it. Loving it. Yep. So if I didn't say it before, this board is for my buddy Aaron. Hey Aaron, man, I love you, boy. I really don't want to send it to you. All right, y'all. Y'all come back if y'all want to see some good stuff. Hey, check us out on Facebook. We'll put a link in the description of our Facebook page, and we have a Facebook shop there. You check some of our items out. We also have a website. We don't have it up and going all the way yet. So just stick around. See y'all later.